Check, check, check. 1, 2. How's everyone doing? Hopefully, this is working. Everything sounds good. Excuse me. Excuse me. Yeah. Sorry I'm late. My bus was very late coming home today. But I'm here. I'm here now. And we're doing the usual today. We're working on processing and learning processing. I'll recap last stream in just a second. But yeah, let me see. Making sure my microphone settings are where I left them and stuff. Oh, yeah, sorry, just fixing that up real quick. But yeah, with that, I'll go ahead and I'll get started on Instagram too, since that one is delayed. And sorry, 1 second, y'all. Here, let me open up yesterday's freeform board. Cool. But yeah, if you're watching, feel free to say hi in the chat while I'm doing all this, setting all this up. If you want, no pressure. It's weird, my message for Instagram came out funky. Let me check on that real quick. Ah, it should have been normal. Oh well, maybe I hit something by accident. There we go, looks good. Cool. So yeah, where did we leave off? As usual, I'm going to copy yesterday's board into a new board for today. Here is yesterday's board, copy, new board, paste. It's quite large. We'll zoom out. Did I miss anything? I guess not. I'm gonna call this, today's our 9th stream back. So 9th, oops, that's not how you spell 9th. Stream board 8-21-24. And yeah. The 8-21-24, that looks good. Yeah, so let's take the agenda for today's stream, copy and paste that to the left here. August 21st. I'll paste this here. So today, we are reviewing what we completed yesterday on stream. Did I change that on yesterday's? Nah, I forgot to change that there. I was hoping it wouldn't do this, it would go out of order when I moved them. I'll figure that out later. Excuse me, not important. But back to today. So we're reviewing what we completed yesterday on stream. Decide if I want to revisit the first assignments from the processing reference chapter. I decided not to do that. And we're just gonna move forward in the tutorial. I feel like staying on that will just, I don't know, take more time than it needs. So just keep moving. If not begin, then this is what we'll do. Begin chapter saving your code and learn processing the coding chain. So I'm just train. I'm just going to delete that second part. Just begin chapter save your code and learn processing the coding train. Making sure I close my door and all that. And yeah, so what did we do last stream? So last stream, we completed the assignment from the processing reference. Actually, let me load that up here. I can show you all what we made. So we essentially took the tools that we've learned so far on here and made a new sketch. Let me see. Yeah, so this is what we made yesterday. You hit play on the code, makes this little abstract drawing. Fun, very fun. So, yeah, that's essentially what we've learned so far in processing is how to make all these different shapes and how to make this board, this page for it to sit on. So, I forget what it's called. The little board. I think I just heard a bunch of things fall. So I'm going to go check and make sure everything's okay. I'll be right back. I hear the dog barking, so it's definitely upstairs. So yeah, sorry about that. Just wanted to make sure all was okay. Where did we leave off? Oh yeah, so we just made that assignment yesterday. Here's what it looks like again, and here was the code. Oh no, what happened to it? There we go. So yeah, this is the code, and this is the drawing. So, yeah, that was about it. It took the whole hour. Mostly playing around with the shapes to get to a composition I liked. I remember a lot of those coordinates that we saw in the code were X and Y coordinates for each point of the object. And then for a rectangle, the extra numbers are determined how, what's the word for it? To the degree of which each corner is curved. And quadrilateral had extra points. Let me see, I'm trying to remember. Is that right? Yeah, so X and Y coordinates for each point for the quadrilateral. Then X and Y coordinates for each point for the triangle. And yeah, that's really it. Eclipse, here, let's open up the reference for that. Right click, find it reference. Trying to remember what those parameters meant, since I could explain everything else but that one. Oh, then size is easy. You just X by Y for the screen, the board that you create. So the first number is the X coordinate of the eclipse. Second number is the Y coordinate. C is the width of the eclipse, and D is the height. Cool. So yeah, a little bit different than everything else, but still pretty straightforward, especially upon reading this. So, yeah, we'll continue on. That was what we covered last time. Here, I'm actually gonna copy and paste this into Safari. I like to use Safari as a, browser on stream. There we go. So today we're continuing with the saving your code chapter here. Yeah, make it full screen so it's a little easier to do all this. Cool. Wow, nice. We're already 40 minutes into the 5-hour tutorial, which honestly doesn't sound like good progress, but I think it is. Because I usually take things pretty slow with these kinds of things. But yeah, hope you all are doing well. If anything sounds off or anything, just let me know too. But yeah, we'll keep going.
Can create. Here's my version of the assignment, a character named Zug that I created for the learning processing book, which this video series mostly matches. Looking at this, I realized there's a couple things that I really should mention here. Number one is you're going to want to save your code. So here is the code that I wrote while I was going through this tutorial. If I were to go to File...
Oh, I've already saved my code so far, so we're doing okay so far with this step, I think.
Save, it's gonna pop open with a prompt for me to save my sketch. Every sketch has a name and is saved into a folder on your computer. So I'm gonna call this coding train example 1. Maybe I want to think of a better naming convention, but for now I'm gonna call it
I got
that.
distracted checking on stream stuff.
So I'm
Gotta
gonna
go
call
back
this coding train folder
Pretty sure you just saved it how I saved the file.
on your computer.
Blah, blah, blah.
Example 1. Maybe I want to think of a better naming convention, but for now I'm going to call it that, and I'm going to hit save. If I go...
Oh, I just realized I forgot to do my usual. Put a link to all this in the chat. If you're watching, please go check out the tutorial and just support what Daniel Schiffman's doing over at the Coding Train, because it's awesome.
File sketchbook, you can now see processing as its own window that's showing me all the sketches I've saved to my sketchbook. Zoog, which I already had preloaded.
How did you get to the sketchbook?
Showing me all the sketches I've saved to my sketchbook. Processing as its...
Sorry.
Go to File Sketchbook, you can now... Maybe I want to think of a better naming convention, but for now I'm going to call it that, and I'm going to hit save. If I go to File Sketchbook,
Oh yeah, there's
you can
everything
now
I've made so far.
see processing as its own window that's showing me all the sketches I've saved to my sketchbook. Zoog, which I already had preloaded in there, and Coding Train example 1. If I were to click...
Yeah, first stream we made anything, which was really just following the tutorial. It's the 7th stream, and then this was what we made yesterday here.
It and say show folder, it's going to take me to the sketchbook folder itself. There you're going to see a lot of extra stuff.
Yeah, leave up notes for today. I'll say notes from saving your code. Then I'll say, what was it? Capitalize or Shift Command K. Sketchbook, where sketches are saved, or I'll say automatically saved. I was gonna say where they should be saved, but I don't actually know if that's true yet. Maybe he'll say something else in the tutorial, but
Because things like different libraries you might use, we'll get into that later, examples that are there, there's modes, there's tools, all sorts of stuff that we don't need to worry about right now. But if I go and look in the Zoog directory or the Coding Train example 1, you'll see a file with the PDE extension. That is a raw text file with your code.
I'll say why is it? Oh, I hate that. It makes me double click in order to type. Stuff just clicking. Well, it's still not working. Why is it not working? Alright, it's strange. It's annoying, but whatever. Sorry, I got hair on me. There we go. So dot PDE file in each folder is a text file of our code.
How you want to manage more broadly the file system on your computer, that's for you to sort out. Easiest way to work with processing is just to use the default sketch folder.
Oh, nice. We already finished that one. He said easiest way to use. Oh, not letting me type again. Is it not letting me type? There we go. Easiest way to save code is to just save it to our sketchbook. Well, and that's it for that tutorial, I guess. Now I'll leave notes. Notes from code comments. There we go.
And you'll also notice something else in here. Body, head, eyes, legs. That doesn't look like code. It doesn't follow this syntax that we've described. And in fact, it's kind of grayed out. Well, these slashes at the beginning of this line of code that says head indicate to processing that this is a code comment. A comment is a note to self, something you're writing in there to annotate what you've been working on that's for processing to ignore as it's executing the code itself. This is incredibly useful, and I highly encourage you to overdo it right now and put comments all throughout your code. It'll give you a nice habit for later. This is really good.
Right down. Begins, 2 slashes begins code comment. Better to overdo than underdo code comments.
Teaching, because you can put explanations in there, but it's even good if you're the only person ever working on this piece of code, because you might take a break from it, you might come back to it, you might say like, oh, to do, let's add some hair. So I can add a little note to self of something I want to do later. Code comments can be anywhere you want with anything in there. They've just got to be all on one line, because if I try to continue that comment onto the next line without a slash slash and run the sketch, it's giving me a syntax error. Processing has kind of got it wrong.
Flying through these, begin code comments, and the last thing I said was just cannot code comments to as to-dos or notes to self needs to be on the same line as the double slash. Cool. Yeah, bold this title, and then now we're already on to errors. Notes from errors.
Processing has kind of got it wrong. This isn't a missing semicolon. This is like, you forgot to add the slash slash for the comment. So let me put that in. Let's take out the semicolon here and run it. Now we really are missing a semicolon. Weirdly, it highlighted the line below, because even though the semicolon is missing from here, it discovered it as it got to the next line, and there was no semicolon before telling it to stop. So this is what I want to emphasize to you. When you have a mistake in your code, an error message will pop up below in the console. But very often that error message will be misleading because it's just doing its best job trying to guess what your intention.
Very often error messages are misleading to what the actual error is.
Processing is actually pretty good and has a bunch of friendly error messages in it. I'd be curious, so you can add into the comments of this video of like, what error messages are you finding that I haven't covered? This is probably also a good time for me to remind you that you can join the Coding Train Discord, where you can post forum messages to ask.
I already did this on my personal Discord, but I thought about making a stream Discord so I can join it, load it up on stream, all that.
And of course, there's also an official processing forum where you can also ask your questions as well. Let's try to see if we can get one more error. Let's leave out the diameter parameter for circle, run the code, and here we go. This is a great error message. The method circle float, float, float in the type papplet. Oh my goodness, what's papplet? Well, papplet is sort of a fancy name for your sketch as a whole. We could get into why that is, but
yeah, write that down because I will definitely forget that in a second. Papplet is a fancy name for the sketch as a whole.
Gonna send us off on way too many tangents, is not applicable for the arguments int. Wait, But I put in 2 numbers. That should be float, float. Oh, data types, we're coming. We're gonna get to data types. What's an integer versus a floating point number? But we can see here that this error message is telling us we're missing a particular argument. We're missing that last argument for the diameter of the circle. All right, I fixed the errors, took out those extra comments. There's Zoog. Take some time to try your own. And when I come back, I'm gonna look at adding color to this sketch.
Cool. Flying through these. Do I want to add any comments to my sketch from last time? Let me take a look. Not really, because everything I could here is so straightforward. Just eclipse is an ellipse. Or sorry, I keep saying eclipse. Ellipse is an ellipse. Rectangle is a rectangle. Quadrilateral is a quadrilateral. Triangle is a triangle. Yeah. Nothing, Oh, I forgot. One thing I remember you can do with comments too from when I was working at P5 is if you want to take something out, just turn into a comment like this, and it removes it. Oops, deleted the queue. There we go. Back to normal, all right. So now we're on, what is this one called? Notes from color. I have a feeling already that the next assignment is going to be to add color from the last assignment we did.
Okay, how did that go? How'd your drawing turn out? I'd really like to know. In the video description, I'll add some information about how you can share that with me if you feel so inclined. But now it's time to make our world a bit more colorful. If you've watched any of my videos before, you know I love a good rainbow. So now is the time to make everything rainbow themed if we can. So before we were looking at the syntax for issuing a command or function call, and I made a list of some of the 2D primitive shapes you could draw. Let me now make a quick list of the commands that you could use to specify colors. Background.
I'm gonna write these down right now.
Stroke.
Commands, oops, what did I do there? Commands for color, background, parentheses, stroke, parentheses, let's see what else.
So here are 3 to start.
I always forget to turn on the closed captioning. Good idea, I should leave that on for all these streams.
Background, stroke, fill. There are more, but these are the 3 sort of core basic ones, and each one sets a color for a different aspect.
Fill, parentheses, then I'll leave a note. These are the 3 basic ones.
We're drawing in the processing window, and I'll be getting to the details of that in a moment. But all of them require arguments that specify what color it is we want to set. So how do we define color as an argument? Can it be a number? Yes. The simplest way to start with color is to define color as a shade of gray or grayscale. A grayscale color value is defined as a number with a range from 0 to 255. And I'll get into why that's.
I'll write that down. Grayscale is a number from 1 to 255. You said 255, right? Yeah.
Number with a range from 0 to 255. And I'll get into why that's the range in a little bit. 0 is the value for black. 255 is the value for white. And everything in between is some shade of gray. So maybe 127 is a medium gray. It's useful, I think, to think of this as a dimmable light.
Just writing down 0 equals black, 255 equals white. I think it's self-explanatory from there that anything in between is gray.
If you turn the light all the way off, total darkness, all the way up, bright white light. For any of these functions, if I were to put just a single number inside the parentheses as its argument, it's going to set the color to its corresponding grayscale value. Let's look at that.
A single, sorry, I'm just gonna do something real quick. A single number correlates to grayscale. Single number as the argument correlates to grayscale.
In practice. Circling back to this example that I've been building, let's add the function background. I'm going to put it right after size. And again, I'll come back to the order in a moment. A background of 0 fills the entire canvas with black.
I'm gonna go back.
A background of 0.
Oh, so he was kind of skipping ahead last time when I was wondering how to fill up the whole background or space of different colors or shades of gray. Huh.
Fills the
Background parentheses can be listed under size to indicate background color. I know that should seem obvious, but the important part there for me is that it is listed under size and not later in the code.
entire canvas with black. 255 fills it with white. So background is the function to place a color over the entire canvas of the processing window. Stroke is a function that sets the outline color of any shape. So in the case of a rectangle, stroke sets the outline. Fill is a function that sets the interior color. Now let's try to change the color of the circle. So I can give it a stroke of 127. Let's give it some gray value.
Then I'll say for each shape, stroke and fill comes before the shape in the code.
And maybe a fill of 0. Let's see what that looks like. I could zoom way in on that.
So I'll say for each shape in the code, stroke and fill comes out before the shape. Comes before the shape. Same thing, but I feel like that's a little easier to read.
And I could see that there is a gray outline there, but this is probably a useful moment for me to let you know about an important function to modify the thickness of the outline of shapes or the thickness of a line color, and that is stroke weight.
All right. And then I'll say stroke, I should already know this and do, but stroke weight determines thickness of outline. Okay. Cool. So we did 1, 2, 3, 4 of these little segments today, saving your code comments, errors, and color. Do I have time for one more? Let me see. Oh yeah, totally have time for another. We have stroke weight, then RGB color, then bits by bytes. Yeah, it looks like there's a lot of these shorter tutorials until the next one, set up and draw. I don't think we'll get to set up and draw. Let me see, 106. Yeah, we definitely won't get to set up and draw, but can knock out 1 or 2 or maybe even more of these smaller ones coming up. Smaller chapters rather. So I'm going to add another line here. Notes from stroke weight.
I'm going to write it down here because it's technically not a function that assigns color, but it is quite tied to the color functions. By default, the thickness of any line that you draw in processing is 1 pixel. So if you want it to be more than 1 pixel, that's where
the
stroke
size of what
1
was it?
pixel. Of any line
any
that you
line.
draw in processing.
I'm actually gonna write that down. By default, the thickness of any line we draw in processing is 1 pixel.
Is 1 pixel. So if you want it to be more than 1 pixel, that's where stroke weight comes in. So it's probably more visible to you now, where stroke weight comes in.
Were they put in the code before?
So it's probably
Stroke weight. This is just stroke weight parentheses. I think that's what it was.
pixel. That's where stroke weight comes in.
Capitalized weight, interesting. Stroke weight alters this. Stroke weight parentheses goes before stroke parentheses semicolon. Just so I know that the weight goes before color. And we can try altering that later. See what happens when you change that order, because he hasn't shown exactly what happens when you do that.
So it's probably more visible to you now, the fact that the line is gray and it's a bit thicker. But wait a second, what's going on? The rectangle also has a fill that's black and a gray outline that's thick, and the line is thick and gray. Order of your code is very important. Anytime
There we go, now he's talking about it.
call any of these functions, it's as if, processing picked up the pen with a certain color, I mean, this one's purple, and of a certain thickness. It's gonna keep drawing with that forever until you tell it to switch to something else. For example, if I were to take all of these lines of code and now place them above the square, you can see that the square is black with a gray outline, and the line that I'm drawing after the square is also thick and gray, but the circle has a thin black outline and a white interior. That's because I drew the circle without specifying, so it used the defaults, and then picked up that new pen for everything that came after it. So if I want the circle and the square to
Oh, interesting. If not added to each shape, stroke weight and stroke applies to everything beneath it, the code.
different to have their own stroke and fill, I just need to add the right function calls before each of them. Make a stroke weight of 8, a stroke of 0, and a fill of 51. Let's make that fill 175 so that we can see it more clearly. Now we can really see the distinct stroke and fill of each one of those shapes. And I can also be specific for the line. I'm gonna say a stroke weight of 1 and a stroke of 0. There we go. This is all well and good, but you're not here just to make grayscale designs. Although there's something kind of nice about that. You're here for the full rainbow of glorious, wonderful color.
There you go, RGB color. Line through these. Notes from RGB color.
As I will get to, there are plenty of ways to specify the full range of possibilities of color in processing. But the core, the foundational, the basic starting point for you and me right now at this moment is referred to as RGB color. Unlike grayscale, which just has one, RGB color is indicated by 3 numbers. 1, 2, 3. RGB,
green, and blue.
or red, green, blue. I talked about the Cartesian plane as something you might have done a while back or currently in school. Something you might have also studied or tried at some point, maybe when you were really little, is like finger paints, and they're primary colors and you can mix them and you can get different colors out of mixing the primary colors. It's been a while since I used actual finger paints, but this is all operating under the same principle. The idea is that with a some amount—
Sorry if y'all could hear my water bottle. Thought the noise gate would capture it, but it did not.
red, some amount of green, and some amount of blue, I can create any color of the rainbow. But the key concept here is this is not like mixing paint. This is like mixing light. As if I had a red flashlight, a green flashlight, and a blue flashlight, and was turning them up and down and on and off and shining them on various surfaces. Each one has a range from 0 to 255. And again, put a pin in it.
I assume order is red, green, blue here. Let me see. Each color, red, green, and blue, is on a scale of 0 to 255.
I come back to why is this the range again? And how do I change that if I don't like that range?
Well, you can change
It's coming.
range.
So let's think about this. If I wanted pure red, I would put the red dial all the way up to 255 and the green dial down to 0 and the blue dial down to 0. In practice, that means I'm going to give 3 arguments to the function background, or stroke or fill. The first one being 255, second being 0, and the third being 0. Look at that, red background. Now, what's your favorite color? Mine is purple. So I think
I'll say, for example, background, parentheses, semicolon. Actually, I'll say exactly what he did. 255, 0, 0. I'll say equals background, parentheses, R, comma, G, comma, B, semicolon.
get a purple by adding some more blue. Let's give it like 150 and a little more than halfway of blue. That's a lovely purplish tint there. I'm gonna make up some numbers to put in the various strokes and fills so we can see that as well. Look at my design. Actually, I'm quite pleased with that. I guess that's more of a pink than a purple, but close enough. I want to talk about a few more
I'll
details.
say same thing. Same thing applies for stroke, parentheses, semicolon.
Related to color, the range, how I would adjust the range. But before I do that, this is probably a good time for you to just pause and see if you can add different RGB colors to the design you made previously. Take your time. I'll still be here. Actually, I'm just going to keep going, but you'll have to pause the video. All right, how did that go? If you have questions, again, leave them in the comments or the various places that you'll see in the video description where you can get additional help.
My god, how long have I been muted for? I just realized I've been muted. Oh my god, I don't know for how long. My god, I'm gonna go back and watch the VOD and see how long I was muted for. I remember muting when I was coughing. I forgot to mute after. It was probably for a really long time. Oh no. Oh no, no, no. Oh well, there goes that. So yeah, what I was just saying is this is what we made today. I'm not gonna go over everything just because we don't have time for that, or I don't have time for that. But if I open it up again, yeah, this is what we made. It's the same drawing from last time, but with color. Oh, forgot to go display. Same drawing as last time, but with color. So next time we'll update the colors because this is completely random and we'll make it something better. And yeah, I am not streaming tomorrow, unfortunately. I have some things going on at the same time tomorrow, so no stream tomorrow. And we'll resume on Sunday. I'm not sure what time yet, unfortunately. I still gotta decide what time I want to stream on Sundays. But otherwise, live 5:30 p.m. every Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. If you're watching right now, please follow on Twitch, subscribe on YouTube. You can get notified when I go live. And yeah, that's all. Hope it was something nice, fun to have in the background while you're working on projects. That's kind of the goal of these streams. And yeah, I will see you all on Sunday. Thank you. Thank you. Also, if you're watching on Twitch, stick around for the raid.